Okay, we're live.
Yes, welcome everyone. I've been, uh, what would I say? I've been missing in action for the last couple of weeks, but I'm here even for a short moment where I wanted to give my greetings and that although my faces wasn't there, my voice hadn't spoken to you in a couple of weeks, but my heart and my dedication to this thrust that we have endeavored, and that is stopping the violence in America. We originally started it out with dealing with gun violence, but we realized that it wasn't only guns, but it was other things that trigger people to pick up a gun and shoot another person. So what are those dynamics out there that is causing other people to commit crime against their own human fellow man and woman? So today we have a wonderful speaker who's been on before, and we're going to rerun his last talk, the presentation he gave us, and I believe it was on, the significance of having a what I call a best practices conferences, meaning over the time period that we have been broadcasting this webinar on stopping the violence in America. We realize that all the guests that have come on from different walks of life and different careers have come on, and they've shared some excellent ideas and excellent best practices that has some sustainable and measurable change in the various communities that they were targeting. So we felt that we wanted to bring on a national level all those best practices, and that conference will be sometime in December. So look forward to it, and we look forward to you to participating in. Thank you so much for coming on as usual, and I look forward to hearing our brother speak, and then of course we will have some sort of opening conversation. Go ahead, Nadia, you can roll the camera.
Session of stopping the violence and crime in America. Our approach is not that we have one answer, but our approach is how can we collectively bring different areas of expertise to those who worked in the field, those who understand legislation, laws, those who have worked through institutions that have had some success. How do we finally bring those angles into a pot and find some collaborative effort? However, without us sharing those different angles, we won't be able to bring them together and almost, if you will, extract different points and try to find some solutions. I know that the UPF, Universal Peace Federation, which I'm the vice president of, and its founder, Mother Moon, has really commissioned us to really look at violence and crime in America. And so when she asked that question, somehow in the background and the underwriting of that commission, there must be some solution. Just talking to our guest today, Reverend V.J. Smith, and everybody doesn't have the same opinion, but I say whomsoever will. And many times those whomsoever wills are the Jacobs and the Calebs and the Joshuas. They'll come back with the right report. And their collaborative effort has opened up extraordinary doors that we're all benefiting from today. So what we're going to do today is invite this great man of God, this great man of what I say the community, the warrior of the poor, the warrior of those who have been disfranchised because they are victim of extenuating circumstances. They're not just poor but they are people who are just, I would say, victim of extenuating circumstances, meaning they have greatness in them but it takes warriors, those who can transcend to bring out the greatness in order for them to be viable citizens. And also, it's another avenue to how do you begin to reduce crime and violence. Let me tell you a little bit. I had a wonderful conversation, and I do look forward to working with him and collaborating with him in the future. VJ Smith, Mr. VJ Smith, Dr. Reverend VJ Smith, can speak on topics such as family issues, how to work with differences between personalities and disagreements, and how to be a better parent and increase the ability to grow and nurture your family, how to deal with drug abuse, dealing with the mental health issues in our families, and transforming communities, crime prevention and intervention at its best. Over the last 30 years, VJ Smith has made a difference in over 30,000 families, their lives, and has been able to mentor, which is extraordinarily important, and motivate over 50,000 inmates and prisoners with his outreach on the street and in the community. He has been able to change millions of lives. Without any further ado, let us welcome my dear brother, Reverend VJ Smith, and cherish some of his opening remarks to us today. Thank you. Welcome, my brother. Welcome, VJ.
Well, thank you, Brother Oliver, man. You know, you're truly my brother, man. For the first time we met, I realized we had a serious connection, and that's why I can't wait for us to put our heads together, because we've got a dilemma in our country. We've got a serious situation that is really going to need folks coming together that think the same way. I have a 12-point piece that I want to talk about. And the first point is parenting is such a big piece of what we do and who we are, that if we begin to work on how we raise our kids and how we build our kids and how we shape our kids, that our parents need help. Our parents, not only just our single mothers and our single fathers, but even our parents that are struggling, working 2 and 3 jobs, and the issues of just being able to economically make it. It's tough. Our parents, many of them don't have the social skills to really raise kids. They've never been, their parents were dysfunctional, and so they're teaching the best way they can. They're trying the best way they can, but they need help. And when we had a parenting group, we realized how critical that was. We were doing 100 fathers a week, and we realized how the impact of a father being nurtured on how to be a good father led into us building a healthy relationship group, because the women were like, well, my man's changing or my husband's changing. What about me? And so we were able to take that parenting class and along with that, do a healthy relationship class, and taught the woman and the man how to get along, which really it dominoed effect down to the children. Because the children, when they see you act differently, they mimic everything you do. You're being more loving to mom. You're being more caring. She's being more loving and caring to you. You guys are talking instead of screaming at each other now. We can do the same thing because we're going to mimic everything you do. Then you change the dynamics of the family just by changing the father, the mother. You change the community. Second point is we have to understand the funding aspect of what it takes to transform a community. We have to stop the Band-Aid grants, the Band-Aid, the $5,000 grant, the $10,000 grant. We keep doing Band-Aids on funding. We need to have long-term funding. A lot of the federal grants and state grants and other grants where people can get grants for up to 3 to 5 years, a lot of the poor communities don't qualify because they don't know how to write those grants. They don't know how to get those type of grants so they can have that kind of work in the community. So we have to look at a different way of funding. Now, with that said, we also have to look at leadership. Just because you have money doesn't mean you know how to lead with the money. So we have to make sure we teach our leaders how to be physically responsible. That's one of the reasons why it's so hard to maintain some of these grants for our communities, because we don't realize all the dots and that needs to be dotted and all the stuff that needs to happen, to be physically responsible so that that money can continue to flow into the community. That's my third point. My fourth point is that poverty is real. Poverty is not just something um, that just happens. Like, a lot of poverty is designed for poor communities to be that way. There's a reason for that. And we have to really, we've been studied to death. There's been millions and trillions of studies on poverty and why is there so much poverty and how do you prevent poverty, but there haven't been any real solutions to change it. And I think that what we need to do is figure out, how do we change it? How can somebody come out of a poor community and still strive to be great? It's happened a lot. But those numbers decrease and decrease the more that we include poverty and a lot of other things that come with that. So poverty is something that we have to look at, and we have to know that really, how do we change? How do we change that? How do we really change it? Well, we really change it by putting the effort toward changing it. We really change it by investing in that community. Really change it by doing the rest of the points that I'm going to add on to it. My number 5 point is training. You can't just give money to a community without training them on what to do with it. You can't just fund a program without training people on how to make sure we sustain it. And you can't expect a leader to know what to do if he's never been trained. So many times we get a grant or we get some dollars and we hire people and we bring them on and we tell them what to do, but we don't give them the training they need. And sometimes we don't update the training. We're using old tools for a new world. And we have to make sure that our training is up to date. And we have to take time to train. It takes time to train. Sometimes you got to stop what you're doing to train people to do it in a different way. My staff, we used to every Monday we would train. That was what we did, because I understood that if I don't pour into them, that they're going to go out and sometime invent their own system and maybe kind of destroy some of the things that we built up. So training for leaders, training for community leaders, training for politicians on how to interact with us. I remember once we had a training with the police department and community leaders just to get to know each other, just to understand what we go through. It was phenomenal. But but everybody doesn't have time, and that's what we got to make time. We got to make time for law enforcement, community leaders, all of us to come together and talk about our struggles so that we understand each other. Training is so huge and so critically important. Number 6 is education. Education of our system, education, our schools, our colleges, our community colleges, the education of the trades, and plumbing and electricians and all that stuff. That stuff is critical. There are still some institutions that aren't letting us in. There's still some institutions that are blocking certain people from getting in. There's still some roadblocks. And when you look around at construction sites and you look around at some of where they're building new buildings, sometimes you don't see people that look like us. And you wonder why. Well, because they haven't been included in the training. They haven't been included in those apprenticeships. They haven't been included. And so it is opening up, but we've got to do a better job. We've got to do a better job of getting people into the educational system to really thrive. And some of the education that we're learning is no longer needed. There's certain things we're still being taught that we don't need. And even though people are saying we don't want to hear about the history, but the history is what made us who we are. The history, if we're getting history from all the other cultures, why not continue to give us the Black history and all the Native history? Give us that history. I'll never forget when I found out that about the Native Americans and the real story. And I was taught about Columbus. I was taught about all that. But the Native Americans, when I got close to that community and started being in sweat lodges and things like that, and understanding how they heal and how they deal with the oppression that they've been up against for hundreds and hundreds of years, I understood that we have to do a better job of educating. We have to do a better job of teaching. And all kids don't learn the same way. So we have to do, when we understand that, people will stop dropping out of school and not being a part of education, because certain kids learn differently. We have to adapt to that, I believe. Number 7 is that long-term investment. There is no quick fix for crime in our community. It didn't happen overnight. Let's stop pretending like this is just something that just happened and we can fix it quickly. There is no quick fix. Let's have a long-term plan. I have really not yet been in a meeting that talked about a 20 or 10-year plan for crime prevention, because that's the same kind of meetings they have when they want to change a city, when they want to redevelop a community, when they want to change the architect of a neighborhood. They think 5 and 10 years ahead, and they begin working on those plans and they fund those plans. Why can't we do the same thing? Why is it that we wait till June or July to talk about what's going to happen because the numbers are up, because the homicides are up? January 1, we should be talking about what we're going to do for the next 5 to 10 years. Long-term investment with long-term funding. That's what's needed. My number 8 point is faith. Faith is dwindling in our communities. Faith is something that, that we're losing. We're losing because people have lost faith in faith. And I think it's important to understand that we have to regain that. We have to show people that there is a place for faith in our community, that there is a place that you can believe and trust that God will do something great, that God can do something great. So we knocked on thousands of doors in the community to find out who was going to church. We found out that almost 60% of the people that we knocked on doors in that community were not church. They weren't looking for a church. They didn't want to be involved with the church. But this was one of the most crime-ridden neighborhoods in that community. Well, that says something about how people feel about faith. Number 9 is grief and trauma. I can tell you that I've been hit really hard by grief and trauma. I've heard mothers cry. I've heard mothers scream. I can still hear it sometimes in my sleep. I've been to thousands of homicide sites, and I've been to many vigils for families. I've been to countless funerals. And the one thing that I didn't see was a group of people that said after this homicide or after this service, there's counseling for everyone. The one thing I did see were people trying to medicate their anger and their pain and their grief. And many times I realize that when I look on the news, I see vans pull up at a school shooting or something that happens in another community, and there's always a truck for counseling or something for counseling. When I thought about this, I said, why is it that they don't even come to spray the blood away from the streets sometimes when people get killed in our communities? They don't even remove the blood, let alone bring in counseling services. We've got so many people that are grieving right now, and so many people that are full of trauma. They're up to here. They're up to here. And they don't know what to do with that. They're pre-medicating it. They're abusing themselves. They're angry. They're upset. They can't function in a community like that. You can't function like that. I remember a young boy that I went to go see in prison, and I asked him, why is he in prison? And he told me, I'm in prison because when I was a little boy, I remember a drug dealer coming to the house and giving my mom some drugs, and I watched her die. And I said, when I grow up, I'm gonna kill drug dealers. He was on his 6th drug dealer. He hadn't got any treatment. He hadn't got any therapy. He hadn't got anything. He was on a mission, and he went to that mission. But maybe had he got some help for that, that wouldn't have happened. He's in prison for a very long time. The number 10 is community trust. In our community, sometimes we're so fractured. We don't know which way to go. We don't know who to trust. Law enforcement has lost the trust of the community. Politicians, many of them have lost the trust of the community. Some community activists have lost the trust of the community. Trust, we got trust issues. Sometimes leaders don't trust each other because of past issues or things that have happened. So community trust has been broken so badly that we have to figure out how to build that. And we have to figure out how to tell people, listen, we're going to move forward, but here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to continue to hurt people. We're not going to continue to demise people. We're not going to continue to assassinate characters. We're not going to continue. What we are going to continue to do is to serve the public. What we are continuing to do is figure out how we can agree to disagree to serve our community. We have to build community trust. We have to, and if we don't, we're going to still see an increase in everything else. My number 11 piece is the economics. We have to teach our young people at a young age how to be economically ready for what's going to happen in our community. It's just not enough to teach them about math and arithmetic and all that, and English and social studies. We need to teach them early about economics, about look at your community. Where do you shop at? How many people look like you when you go to the store? How many people look like you when you go get your cell phone? How many people look like you when you go out to do buy products and services in your community? And if they don't look like you, what is the purpose? Why is that? What is the reason? Many of us don't even think about that. We just go to the corner store and we don't think about who owns that corner store. Why do they own it instead of somebody that lives in the community? Economics are important because if you don't understand economics, then you won't understand why there's so much poverty. We need to teach that. We need to teach that. And there's some incubators now that are coming up that are teaching young people and even adults that need to learn it about how to be economically sufficient, how to handle your books, how to maintain a business, how to start small and work yourself up to being big economically, but also how do we get our property back? How do we get our land back? How do we get our community back so that we can run our own community, so we can be economically sufficient and still work with our other partners because it's critical. The last point is the public safety. Public safety is bigger than just the word public safety. It's huge. It's a combination of, yes, I need to tell people what's going on. I need to talk about what's going on, but also I need to trust that if I give you information about crime in my community, it doesn't show up in the legal documents. It doesn't show up in that stuff. And I think people don't talk about this, but the reason why people don't want to tell on other people is because they're tired of getting their windows busted. They're tired of getting their doors kicked in. They're tired of being threatened. They're tired of being informed about what they're doing. So they've seen these situations where I want to tell, but when I tell, it shows up somewhere and there's no protection. I can tell you many times where I've helped somebody and they gave information and they called me back and says, hey, they're coming at me. What do I do? We've had to help relocate people because of that. And all they wanted to do was make their neighborhood safe. They knew who was the problem. They knew who were creating the problem. As we know, the large percentage of people that create problems in our community are not that many, but they're so violent and they're so detrimental to the community that they raise havoc in the community. And we can control that if we start really dealing with public safety in a way that where our residents, our community members, and our families, and even our elders can feel safe with giving information. They have a hard time with feeling safe. I talk to them all the time. They say, man, I'm not going to call the police. They actually, I had talked to a senior. She said, they actually gave my number because they said they're tired of me calling. So they gave the criminals my number and the criminals started calling me. I couldn't believe that, but it actually happened. And so things like that happen where we want to be safe, but we have to create a safe environment. So public safety is more than a word, but it's a lifestyle. And when law enforcement, when community leaders, when business leaders, when churches can all work together, we can make a difference. I know we've got so many churches in the community. I was just talking to somebody in Detroit. He said there's 28 churches in the neighborhood community, but none of us work together. That's a problem. What happened? We all used to work together. We've gotten to the point now where not only neighborhood organizations, some of them don't work together, but even our churches now are not working together. So public safety means more than just law enforcement and community, but it means all of us working together. And if we do that, we can make a huge difference, but we have to make sure and we have to maintain that we're ready to take the steps. That means there's going to have to be a whole lot of healing, a whole lot of transformation, and a whole lot of folks just saying, let's lay it out on the table. Let's just be honest. Have we really tried to prevent crime, or have we created something, not only through the hip hop music, not only through the incarceration of our community, but have we created this? Have we kind of created this where we took away the trades and some of the penitentiaries that used to teach you how to get, when you come out, you have your master's degree, when you came out to have a trade, but now you just come out, you have nothing, you're sent back to the streets, and then we tell you, you better find a job and you better find housing or we're going to lock you back up. We don't give you that opportunity. And so we make it hard for these brothers. And the other piece is that these brothers that are locked up in the penitentiary, some of them have really given their life to God, that want to give back, that want to make a difference, but they're never really truly being given the opportunity to do it. And those that do fight for it do very well. There are some young men and women that have came out of incarceration and fought like hell to give back to this community and done an extremely well job. Just think if we allowed those men and women that really are sincere to come back and mentor our children and mentor our adults and young adults and mentor those that are struggling, to bring them back to the college campuses, to their homes, to the church, to build this community. If their record didn't block them from doing everything they wanted to do, every time they apply for something, their record shows up. They're not allowed to do very much of anything, or the work they're allowed to do doesn't allow them to use their gift. Those are my 12 points, and those are the things that I believe that can really help shape, change violence in our community. You know, of course, we know about guns, and we know that, you know, everybody's talking from Republicans and Democrats. What should we do about guns? When you look across the country, around the world, you see there are places in the world that don't have gun violence like we do. But when you put profit over people, you're going to have that problem. You know, we really don't need all the guns we have. We don't need them. I remember our young men, we used to fight, put them fists up, and we could be friends next week. But now, if we got an argument, I'm pulling my gun out, I'm going to kill you. I don't care about your grandmother. I don't care about anything. And so this whole thing around the mental health piece, think about it. Every mass shooter, I believe, had some issues with not being loved. Every mass shooter has some issues with mental health. Every mass shooter has some issues of not feeling a part of society. What if we embrace those brothers and show them what real love was? That's something that powerful that many groups do. Many groups do this. When you look at some of the groups that are working with men and transforming their lives, it can be done. But you know what? We have to really, really think about what is the pharmaceutical company doing to the minds and hearts of our people? What is alcohol doing? What are the drugs doing? And how do we reverse that? We reverse that. We're going back to the 12 points I talked about. We have to input faith. We have to input love. We have to input mentoring. We have to input transformation to change the hearts and the lives. And we have to make a long-term investment.
Thank you. Wow. Wow.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. I've been gone for a while and still gone out of the country, but I wanted to greet everyone. I thought, again, I'm glad that I suggested to have VJ Smith come on again, even though I wanted him live, but he could not come because of other commitments. But rewinding and this recording was brilliant. I thought it was brilliant. There were brilliant points that he has made, and you can see that they were from the heart and they made absolute practical sense. So my time is a little short because I have to move on, but I just wanted to get a few feedbacks from anyone who was inspired, because I'm looking at the things that he is saying as part of the construct of the national conference that we will be having in December. So the doors are open. I mean, the time is open. We have a few more minutes, and if you like to say a few more words, say some, please they're pulling me to go to the airport, so I'm going this way. But anyway, I want to hear a few statements. Yes, John.
Well, I think with this 12 points he has laid out, it'd be a good thing if you had that on a big bulletin board at the national conference, that or put it in print somehow, because it's a good structure for so many things we need. And the second thing is, I think we really ought to make a push for mental health, a positive spin on mental health for all society, also for men and women in prisons, also for the lawmakers who have trauma when they go to scenes and they see people shot and killed and so forth, many intense situations. I think we need to find more mental health workers who can, tell what they're doing, or even those who have successful mental health programs in prisons or inside the law enforcement organizations, to really help to bring that, because it's so important. All the trauma, we talked about that a lot, right? Trauma. People have trauma build up. So we need to have a push, I think, a lot for mental health and people to find ways to get health counseling and so forth. So I think that's kind of what I would say. I'd advise that,
I totally agree. His points were incredible. They were brilliant. He executed them brilliantly as well.
Exactly.
Anyone else would like to say something? Susan Edwards. Hi.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
Hello. I'm really grateful for, it was very organized and very clear presentation. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to bring up that October 1st is National Night Out Against Crime. That is happening all over the country. It's supposed to be. And we have it here in South Florida and Hollywood, that's where I live. And we've been actively doing that, participating in bringing an event to our community for National Night Out Against Crime. The police show up, we have food for the community, and the people running this mayor comes, the other people who are city service people, they come and visit the different communities who are doing this. And this is a national event that I just want to put out to you, that these things that Mr. Smith has shared with us, they would be very good to present during the event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Send us some information on that.
You could look up the website National Night Out Against Crime.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone
Thank you.
else?
Reverend Franklin, what's the YouTube video you put up there? Is that about, or did you put something?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he said a whole bunch of stuff and incredible. The pharmaceutical industry. I put up something on YouTube on the chat if you guys like to look at it. This lady was a surgeon out of Stanford University, and she just left because she saw the insufficient healthcare of the world's largest civilization, America, right? But we have the worst health. And then at the same time, collectively, this platform is wonderful because it's inspired by God and our two parents, because we need to put God in the midst of all of our solutions in order that we can have the heart to be able to initiate collaboration. It takes a collective collaboration in order for us to really get toward the heart of the cause of the problem. And as you know, our dear guest, alluded to that point, so we can really have honest to goodness conversations, adult conversations about mental health and tackling that. We need the military, as Dr. Rouse has said, we need the collaboration of the military, the church. Hopefully, the church will be on the forefront, the police, uniting with the community to make that collaborative effort in order to really address the true issues that plague our society and causing this division, which unfortunately there are some powers that be that actually have a financial and interest in keeping us divided as a people. And so these are things in which I'm hoping that we can address, and through these kind of conversations and these dialogues can unearth what is the real path that is going to lead towards our long-lasting healing and restoration of our nation and our family and our world. Thank you very much, Reverend Oliver. Thank you, everybody. I want to say more.
Yes,
but
thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm sorry I'm full. They're going through the airport. Anyone else? The last person to say anything? How about Bruce? I see I see your.
Are you going
you
to that
wanted
place
to
that your
share.
background? If you're going to that place that your background is showing, then we have to let you go soon. But yeah. Anyway, VJ is
Yeah,
amazing.
look, I'm landlocked over here.
VJ is, he's the real deal. I mean, and I think a number of these people have been on your program. They're really solid, really. And as we drill down, each one of these things, there needs to be obviously, plans and ideas that how to implement these things, and I think a lot of your guests have been, people that could help to implement, look at the different areas. I think this is a great framework. I'm sure there's even other things to add to this. But in the meantime, this was like Susan said, it was very clear, very very succinct. He's done his homework and he's been doing the work. So he really knows what's going on. And another thing is that these guys are oftentimes alone, and they're not accepted. They're not embraced. The VJs of the world are not always welcomed, and I think the more we could support that, and the more we can support, having initiatives that can really support these people that are out there on the front line, I think they'll be very empowered to do what they're doing. But thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Bruce. So true. Hi, Leslie. You're muted.
Okay,
Thank
can
you,
you hear
Bruce.
can you hear me? I'm kind of losing my voice. This was really excellent, and it brings to mind two ways that we could really help. We can really help by helping the churches work together. I mean, we want to find ways to outreach to the churches, and what could be a better way to help them to improve their community, and then especially in terms of violence. And then the second thing is, if we could find a parenting course that we could make available to the pastors, I think this would really help them to have a parenting course, because maybe they don't feel they have anyone in their church who could really lead a parenting group. But if there's a regular course, then somebody could help to lead that. So those are 2 points that struck out to me. And I'm looking forward to your December program. I hope it's going to be at IPEC.
Yeah, thank you. So much. Yeah, he did say, which was a critical point in all of this, was there are 28 churches in one neighborhood and none of them work together.
Mhm.
That was kind of like, it was, well, we understand it, but when you listen to it, it's shocking because it hits you in your face. And it's so true, because if the churches work together collaboratively, at least on something like this, they can make extreme and most impactful difference in those communities. And then I'm shocked that the stats that he said only 66% of people he knocked on the door, they weren't interested in faith. But I believe those same people are still spiritual, they believe in something higher, but they probably are disillusioned in the construct or the church itself, hasn't done anything for them, so they're not interested in that. But he's correct. They're losing. You know, the faith community is losing a lot of these young people, and that struck me as well. Thank you, Leslie.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you.
All right, anyone? I have to sign off there soon. We can move forward. If anybody have anything else to say, please till 3. But they're calling me in this direction. Yes, Susan.
Have a great trip. Where are you going?
I'm in Democratic Republic right now. I'm going to Zambia and then back to the United States.
Have a good trip. Be safe.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Go with God.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, we have a powerful communities here. Powerful brothers and sisters doing powerful things. All right. God bless you.
Okay, safe trip.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm. All the best, everyone. God bless you all.
Okay, we
God
still
bless.
have,
Thank
we
you.
still have almost 20 minutes. And actually, I found Reverend VJ via Facebook about 8 years ago. And my witnessing partner on the ground in Minneapolis, I said, you should see this guy, Marika. He's really different. And as it turns out, he has been serving people pretty much 24/7. When he's not on the street helping people or, you know, helping his staff or whatever, he was at home receiving phone calls. What do I do? They took my kids. I need my kids back. I didn't do anything wrong. So, I mean, every problem. What about housing? We just got evicted. What about we don't have a car? You know, I mean, every problem. He just had this quiver of all kinds of arrows where, you know, this can help this problem, this can help this problem. He just made himself a clearinghouse to be able to help everybody. And I mean, like he said, he, you know, every time somebody was shot, he would go to the neighborhood, they'd close off the streets, they'd bring in the music truck, they'd fire up the grill, and they'd have everybody from the whole neighborhood, both sides of the streets, come out, and they would enjoy each other's company and help work through the grief. So, I mean, this guy is, he's a reverend, but not necessarily, I mean, he knows his Bible, but he's not a theologian. I mean, he changed his name to VJ, which means victory in Jesus. And he's a doer, you know. So there's so many wonderful, righteous people out there. And
You know, thank you, Nadia, for taking such good care of him over the years. I mean, you know, you went through so much with him. You went through things with him, you know, and, you know, the ups and the downs and the, you know, so thank you for your, you know, I mean, I think that's part of it for us, is that how do we take care of and how do we really serve? And, you know, oftentimes we're trying to bring people into our box, if, you know, but we don't really venture into their boxes. And but Nadia, you really did that with him. So that's, I mean, you were there for him.
oh, absolutely.
In the good
Yeah,
times and the bad. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to help them with their mission because they're definitely called. You know, it's pretty obvious. And yeah, he was anointed by Dr. Jenkins and Archbishop Stallings to do monthly prayer breakfasts in our state of Minnesota. And for 7 years, he's never missed, not one time.
Wow.
And the ideas he has, like this month, what have women to do with world peace, healthy families, and all these women, whether they be unificationists or not, work with ACLC. And so we've got 6 testimonies lined up for our coming prayer breakfast. This is his idea. I just listen to him and make it happen, you know, help as much as possible. So it's like, This man is, he's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So we've still got a little time to go if anybody wants to bring anything up.
Do you know much about do you know how far along with this plan for December?
Well, I did get an outline from Reverend Oliver while he was while he's been in Africa these three weeks or so. But I haven't had a chance to look at it. But he's definitely got a plan. And I think, having to replay these different past episodes of this Stopping the Violence, I mean, we forget. This was from 2 years ago. It's like I totally forgot that he had 12 points, and he does this a lot, and he's a man of few words. So as are many, many of our wonderful friends. I mean, every single one of you has connected the most amazing people to this program. But it's like, over a 2-year period, we don't necessarily remember everything that they presented. So it's really nice to be able to review this. And I think it's really helped Reverend Oliver to solidify in his mind, oh yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Susan.
Oh, where's he from?
He's
VJ?
originally from Kansas City, but he was the president of Minneapolis Mad Dads and actually the national president of Mad Dads, Men Against Drugs, Disorder, Drugs and Social, Destructive Social Problems or something like, I can't even remember, I'm sorry. Anyway, it's Mad Dads, and he was president nationally and the Minneapolis, I think he founded the Minneapolis thing. He's been working in Texas for a little bit, but I'm sure he'll be back to Minnesota very soon.
I was going to say, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Why don't you finish
That's
what you were saying? But, I was thinking, Chicago has a pretty good model. I believe they're still doing it with work with ministers. They with Senator Teal Barrett, they work together, they plan the next prayer breakfast, whatever. I don't know if that's still going on, but and they chose who's going to speak, and it wasn't major, but it's a model, and I think the feeling I have, what we bring to the table, is that we can bring people together, so instead of just having an event in December or whenever, but we really should create a committee of people, some of these guys that are actually working to craft this whole thing. It shouldn't just come, I mean, that's just me, but I don't think it needs to come from us directly. But, I think just, in other words, we know what they've done, but how do they become part of the team that it's not we're putting this on, but it's being put on, collectively by, all of the people that have spoken on this program, or something like that. Just how do we make our circle bigger and really get their buy-in, and so we can, and I think everyone will be empowered to be part of it.
Well, Dr. Madeline, of course, is on the team.
Yeah, he's great.
And Reverend VJ, he was, and if you'll notice in the different, if you watch the replays, different people like the minister from Yonkers that had such great success there, and your friend Leslie with
Troy Martinez. And also your lady friend that is such a good teacher about family values. Oh yeah, Karen Rice. Karen Rice.
Yeah, all these people have been, spotlighted for this particular thing, either to be presenters or be on the committee. I know that from Las Vegas, they're now ACLC directors. They're a couple, Reverend Reed and
Catherine Duncan.
Catherine Duncan, yep. They're all involved. I'm sure that Reverend Darrell here, shaking his head up and down, is involved.
Mhm.
A lot of input. So I think, yeah, I think I think it's, you know, not just us, but it is other people. They are being included. So, and I think when he gets back, when Reverend Oliver gets back, that his mind won't be on other things. And because he has been thinking about this while he's been in Africa. But
Claudia, would it be possible we could get some kind of an outline of the proposed program so we could look it over and make suggestions if possible?
well, I'll forward you. I don't think he'll mind if I forward you what he sent me. I have to go back and find it because everything,
Mhm.
so much going on right now. I'll have to go back. I don't even remember when it was. I know it was in the last few weeks, but
Yeah, just just not having just speakers. Like we've had great people,
yes,
speak, and that's great. It's kind of like preaching to the choir for many of these guys.
Yep.
But I guess the question is how to collaboratively build something. In other
Mhm.
words, before the event,
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
other words, not just having our input, but having the input of these guys, and because it's not easy, but if we can work together with these guys, these are each one of them are incredible. I mean, everyone I've heard,
Yep.
they're standalone. I mean, they could do their own
Mhm.
conference. Each of them could do their own conference.
What do you
So I
think
think,
about a panel where, you know,
again, I mean, all those things I think should be discussed with these guys. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
All of these guys should be in the
Mhm.
discussion, the organizing, not the event, but
okay,
the organ. Some of these guys to be part of the organizing of the event
right.
and get their input. How do we take this ball forward? Because
Mhm.
I think what people would like to see is not just good programs, but also, the thing that mostly that we can bring and that's lacking, I think, is unity.
Yes.
That we can collaboratively work together because everybody has their own program. Everyone's trying to get their own funding. Everyone's doing this. Everyone's doing that. But
Mhm.
how do we bring these people together?
Right.
Like
As
I
having,
agree with you.
yeah, having work groups. Have work groups. People can talk together, and then they can continue on Zoom as a work group for a particular issue or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the same thing with churches. We can have people who are from representing churches and how they want to get involved and what programs they might, whatever. I mean, there can be a lot of subgroups of things that people are working on. And anyway, but I think there needs to be a core group of people working together to really,
Mhm.
and then when people see, oh, it's not just this guy doing his program and another guy doing their program,
Nadia,
because
I agree with
they're
Bruce.
they're almost competitive. It's almost competition,
Sure.
almost. And it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
Guys, is it possible we could also incorporate Peace Begins with Me, all the different things that are coming out with that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? It was a little soft for me.
Oh, sorry. How about bringing Peace Begins with Me from True Mother?
Yes.
That could also be incorporated, and that could be like an umbrella over all of them. That they could, we could have some nice music also about peace. So we could have some entertainment as well, not just people talking,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
dance, different things, like also like different kinds of videos that also people are involved with, like VJ. He probably has some videos of things that he's done.
Okay, well, this is all recorded, so we'll definitely have Reverend Oliver look at it and
Great.
hear all of your suggestions. I'm sure he's really going to appreciate it because I think these are all really heavenly suggestions, ideas that have been inspired by people that have been working with this type of,
Yeah.
decades and decades of experience. So it's kind of the combination of it. So now you did notice that it was going to be after the election in November, but now he's talking
Yeah.
about December. But I think he's starting to see, oh gosh, this is gonna take a little bit more, to plan than.
Major, it's major. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
it's
did
major.
notice he changed it to December. So just make a note of.
All right.
Okie doke. Well, we've got 4 minutes. If anybody has any closing remarks, and thank you so much. And I'll definitely bring this to his attention. I'll send it to him so that he can watch it in his downtime.
So Nadia,
Yes.
you think sometime we could know what Reverend Oliver is doing in Zambia, what kind of work he's doing basically?
I have no idea. I mean, I just
Oh, my
found a way
goodness.
to communicate with him. I had WhatsApp, but I didn't realize Dr. Madeline cued me into that last week when she was host. I said, I can't get any text. I'm getting all these weird errors. She said, well, I do it on WhatsApp. I said, WhatsApp, I've got that. So finally I got through to him this week and I could
Yeah.
a little bit, but yeah,
Oh, my.
yeah, so sorry, I have no clue. But if you see the weekly international videos, you can see what's going on in Africa, a little bit of a taste of all the different things that they're doing there. So
Mhm.
that's how I get information. I kind of get it in a roundabout way. I just pay
Okay.
attention and, oh, Zambia, oh, Democratic
You know,
Republic of Congo, oh. I
the
think Reverend Oliver.
the Country One, they from Las Vegas, they every year they go out to Zambia.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they work with Archbishop Malingo a little bit. They help on his farm. There's other projects that I think they've been working on, but yeah, so that's
Yeah, they have really good experience, and also the
Yeah.
medical. Kito Sakin does medical care and
That's
connects
right.
with our members who are doctors there too.
Nice. Yep. Thank you.
John,
It's good to
good to
get
see John.
together and find all this information. Everybody's giving little clues.
All right. Great.
Our job is to connect the dots.
Yeah.
John, we worked together 100 years ago in Denver.
About 100, 150 maybe.
150 years ago.
I use you as an example recent. In fact, just today I used you as an example. Good example, might I say.
All right. I'll
tell you
never forget
another time.
our first experience witnessing, right? That was
Oh,
really
man.
yeah,
At CAP, they called CAP or something like that, I guess.
yeah.
Capital, I forget how it was called. Anyway, it was great. Good time.
Yeah, good to see you. Really good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Leslie, I just wanted to say, I know you wanted at IPAC, but I think Reverend Oliver was planning DC. Sorry. That
Oh, okay.
maybe you could put a bug in his ear and change that. I don't know. Maybe there should be two.
All
An
right.
East Coast and a West Coast version. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
Nice to see you guys, Leslie, Susan.
Yeah.
All right. See you.
Good to
Great to
see
see
you,
you,
Bruce.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay.
Bless
We've known each other a
you.
long time, Bruce.
Thank you.
Good
Yeah.
to see you guys.
Back a long way.
Good to see y'all.
Washington
Yeah.
Monument Festival.
this was good. This was good.
1976.
Okay.
January 18th.
Bye.
I was
Have a
there.
good one.
So